Welcome to our NCAA March Madness preview show with me, Bob, and him, Randall, from OddsJam TV. Don't forget to click the links below for the best sports books in your state. Because, Randall, you got to be logged in. You got to have all those sports books in order to take advantage of all the bonuses and the right odds, right?
Absolutely. More sports books you have, the more money you can make. So take advantage of those links below.
That's absolutely true. So look, we're talking about the tournament, what's going to happen, who's going to go where, how the bracket's going to look. We got to get through these conference tournaments first, right? So as we're looking here, who are going to be the conference tournament winners? That's what I'm looking at right now. And let's start off with the SEC. Is it Kentucky? Are they a clear-cut shot? Where does Alabama, where does Auburn fit? The SEC is pretty competitive, Randall. Who do you see coming out of that conference tournament?
Yeah, I mean, looking at the odds, Kentucky plus 150 is the favorite there. Auburn at plus 200. I mean, I'm not sure Arkansas at plus 700 has any value. I think they're a much different team than they are, at home versus on the road or at a neutral site.
Right.
I'd be personally looking. I mean, I like this LSU team. I know we've talked about that.
Right.
LSU 16-1. I mean, if they can get it figured out, obviously they lost to Arkansas last night, but I mean, I think if you're looking for value on the board, I think LSU 16-1. I'm not sure it's really worth betting Kentucky or Auburn plus 200 and plus 150. Tennessee plus 400. They're another team. I mean, how do they play at home versus on the road? I mean, again, two totally different teams. I mean, who do you like in this? I mean,
I like the Tennessee pick. I think that they have enough to make it over the hump, and that's really good value at what did you say, 400 plus 400? So yeah. 4-1. I'll take that. I'll roll $20 up on Tennessee right now.
Bob's betting Tennessee.
Bob's betting Tennessee, and I'm going to put it in right now. All right. Bet is made. I got to do that. Thanks for telling me that, Randall. You just reminded me I needed to make that bet. All right, let's move to the Big Ten. Wisconsin with their lucky shooting, and I'm talking lucky. The last two shots they made in the game the other day were off the glass. That's not what they were intended to do. They were lucky shots. They were contended. They went in, and Wisconsin is now the Big Ten champion, right? Regular season. But come tournament time, I'm telling you right now, what is the value on Illinois? Because we're going to talk about them in the big tournament, but in the conference tournament, I think Illinois got something to prove, and especially with the guard and the big man not playing that much together this year, you're going to see them play more. I'm with Kenny White on this. Illinois wins this tournament.
Well, I mean, our only issue or our only problem is we can't bet on Illinois. So,
right. I know.
I mean, we're actually, we're in a spot here. If you truly believe Illinois makes the championship and you can look at that bracket and you can figure out who they're going to play, I mean, you've got an automatic winner. Is it Purdue? Is it Wisconsin? I haven't looked at the bracket. I'm not sure how it shakes down, but if Illinois is on the bottom, I mean, if you can figure out who's coming out of the top and they meet Illinois, like I said, you have an automatic winner. I think it's definitely wide open. I mean, Ohio State 9-1. I mean, I think they have the talent to hang with anybody, but I mean, they have been so up and down all year. Just lost to Nebraska. I'm not buying into Iowa. I'm not really buying into Sparty, although, I mean, the way Sparty played at home against Purdue the other day, 10-1, maybe worth a look. Tom Izzo, not high on Michigan. Indiana, no good. Rutgers 30-1, maybe a good story for a couple of games. Purdue, obviously your odds-on favorite, but I don't know, maybe Ohio State 9-1, Michigan State 10-1. As much as I hate both of those teams,
how come I didn't hear nothing about whiskey?
I mean, they're not bad. I mean, they're plus 550. I mean, they could definitely get it done. They beat Purdue the other night. This Purdue team, I don't understand Painter and why he doesn't play both the bigs simultaneously. I'd love to know the reasoning behind that.
Well, the one dude got in foul trouble the other night, big time, man. He had 4 fouls, and it really messed him up. All right, let's move on to the Pac-10 or Pac-12, I should say. Hey, I'm old school here. Pac-12. To me, there is only one team worth talking about in that conference, and you're going to tell me that they are overrated, but it's Zona, man. It's Arizona. Who else is out there? I mean, really.
I agree. I think Arizona is by far the best team in the Pac-12, but I mean, if you're looking at them from a futures perspective, Bob, I mean, even money to take Arizona. I just a lot can. I mean, every year stuff happens in March that's crazy. Oregon 8-1. I'll tell you a team that I think has a lot of value, just from a future standpoint, is Washington State 18-1. I'm not sure that they can win the whole thing, but I mean, they might get to a spot where you could potentially hedge, and make a little bit of money off of that 18-1. So Washington State is a very talented ball club.
Okay, let's move to the ACC. Is there anybody else to talk about but Duke and Krzyzewski? Is I've got a question right now that I'm going to throw in here. Does Coach K tear down the nets this year? Has he cut the nets down not only once but twice, or several times?
I mean, Duke's minus 110 to win the ACC. I mean, who else is it? I mean, Wake Forest is your next best at plus 650. Notre Dame 8-1. North Carolina 9-1. I mean, the ACC is way down this year. I mean, who would have thought Syracuse heading into an ACC tournament would be 25-1?
ACC is projected for 5 teams right now in Artie's bracketology.
What 5 teams are those? I mean, I'm very curious to hear those. I mean, Wake Forest, I guess, is one that's on the bubble.
Right.
I mean, is North Carolina in? I guess they are.
They're a bubble team too. I think a lot of these teams, it's going to depend on what happens in that conference tournament. And last but not least, let's move on to the Big East, where I don't even know what to say about UConn losing to Creighton the other day. And who's the big guy from Creighton? What's his name again? Yeah, you know I'm talking about, right?
Yeah, I know who you're talking about.
Well, he all of a sudden found offense the other night, and I was betting them last year, and they kicked my butt in a few games because of his inability to put the ball in the basket. But UConn was very much a disappointment in that game, although they've got some players. I think UConn. What are we looking at for odds on them? Because that's a team that I think I would be willing to put a little money on in this conference tournament.
Yeah, I mean, UConn's 3-1 over on Barstool. That's where I'm looking at right now, just because they have all of these conference tournaments up. But I mean, you talked about Creighton. I mean, Creighton's 16-1. I mean, why not? I think there's some value there. I mean, Villanova plus 125. I mean, I do think they probably win the Big East. I mean, at plus 125, probably not a number to take. What about winless Georgetown, Bob? You got any interest there? 150-1, or I give 500-1 on Georgetown. Any interest?
No. Is there a Thompson still coaching that team?
It's Georgetown's a big mystery. I heard him talking the other day that the players really like Ewing and there's some good things going, but the talent just isn't there. They really struggle.
Well, Patrick Ewing's not the guy to teach kids how to shoot. Anyway, I'm just saying. All right, let's move on to what we think are top seeds. And I'm just going to tell you right now, Who are my top 4 seeds right out of the gate? You're talking Gonzaga, Arizona, Baylor, and this one is close. But I'm going to throw Duke into a number 1, especially if they get to the championship game of the tournament. I think they come up with a number 1 seed because they want to anoint Coach Krzyzewski. Coach K is the greatest coach ever. Okay, it's all made for TV, bud.
Well, and I agree with you. I think Gonzaga, they'll probably win their conference tournament. Huge favorite. Definitely will be a 1 seed. But I think a lot of this comes down to what happens in these conference tournaments. I think if Purdue wins the Big Ten, they probably find themselves as a 1 seed. Same way, the Big 12, if Baylor doesn't win the conference tournament, probably not a 1 seed. If Duke wins, probably are a 1 seed. Arizona, Kansas, Kentucky. I know I'm all over the place here, but I think with these conference tournaments, this could change drastically. I think Kentucky has a chance to be a 1 seed. I think Auburn has a chance to be a 1 seed if they can get it done. Looking at Lenardi's bracket right now, I don't agree with the 1 seeds that he has. Kansas just lost to TCU.
I know that one didn't make sense to me either.
And it's Kansas. We know what Kansas does year in and year out. So,
right.
Yeah, these conference tournaments are going to determine a lot. And I think there are several teams in the mix for a 1 seed at this point.
All right, let's look at bubble teams, Randall. And I know we've been looking at ESPN, and we've got this chart here of last 4 buys, last 4 in, first 4 out, next 4 out. But basically, we're looking at Creighton, which is a team that you were just talking about in the Big East that could make some noise. San Francisco, Wake Forest, Michigan, Memphis, San Diego State, Indiana, Rutgers, Loyola, Chicago, BYU, Oregon, SMU, Virginia Tech, Florida, St. Bonaventure, and Dayton. Holy cow, man. There's some names there. Those teams are on the bubble. Wow.
Well, and Dayton is the favorite to win the A10. And I know Lenardi sets that bracket up based on, who he feels will win the conference tournament. And I'm not seeing the winner of the A10 anywhere in here. I've searched for a few teams to try to see who he's projected, and I'm not finding it, which is very interesting. Who he would have in the A10. Like I said, I don't see it just at a glance. Or actually, no, I guess I do. It's Davidson here. And Davidson is not the favorite to win the A10. Looking at the stats or looking at the projections here, at least the futures, Dayton's 2-1, VCU 3-1, Davidson 4-1, SLU 7-1. I think SLU has a little bit of value. Richmond 16-1. But teams on the bubble. I think Oregon. I'm stunned that they're the first 4 out. I think they are definitely a tournament team. I think Memphis is a tournament team. Get Indiana out of here. I don't want to see them anymore.
No, I agree with you there 100%.
And how about 3? Are we really going to get 3 teams from the West Coast Conference? Are we going to get St. Mary's, Gonzaga, and San Francisco?
I don't think San Fran makes it, man.
Yeah, I think they're gonna have to make the championship game to get in. I can't imagine them making the tournament either. I agree with you 100%.
Yeah. Yes. Hey, man, we agree. I'm going to tell you something, folks. Randall and I don't agree very much, but we're going to agree here. Don't forget to click those links below, and don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. That's why you're watching this, right? Let's go to upsets. Upset alert. I'm going to tell you a couple that I'm going to throw in there right now. And one of them just got upset recently. And I didn't like the way they played, and that's Alabama. And the other one's Houston, who is, there's no talk of discussion of them at all right now. But I think that Houston could be a team out pretty quick in this tournament.
Yeah, this Houston team, they had a good run a couple of years ago. Kind of a team you can't really really figure out. I mean, I think some other teams, again, just depending on the draws, depending on the seeds. I mean, I'm not high on Arkansas at all. I think
Right.
that this team, on a neutral floor is much, much different. Lenardi actually has them matched up against North Texas, and we know what North Texas did last year. I mean, Ohio State, I know I mentioned them earlier, to potentially win the Big Ten. I mean, they could be on upset alert in the first round, depending on what team shows up. USC could be another one. I mean, USC Creighton in the 6-11 matchup is what Lenardi has right now. I mean, I'd take Creighton in the points right now. I think Providence is another team. Everybody's high on Providence, and I'm not sold on this team really at all. And I mean, Iowa potentially, if you're looking at maybe a 7-10, and UConn. I know you like UConn, but I think UConn could be on upset alert. Same with Alabama. I do agree with you there on Alabama. Alabama is probably one of the most ignorant teams in college basketball with the way they play.
Hey, but let's not forget about Auburn struggling and having to go to overtime. I mean, as much as we like Auburn and think they're a really good team, anything can happen at any time. We know that when it comes to college basketball, right?
Absolutely. Yeah,
all right.
Absolutely.
Let's look at the Lenardi bracket here real quick, and I'm going to pull it up on my end here. And one of the things that would my Final Four be any different? Well, he's got Gonzaga, Baylor, Kansas, and Arizona. The difference between me and him is I've got Duke. And I think I'm going to stick with that because I swear, Randall, they're trying to make it to where Duke, they want to anoint Coach K. They do. Come on, right?
So who are you going with your Final Four based on just this bracket here that Lenardi has? I'm looking through. I think I've got my 4 picked out.
Well, I'm going Gonzaga, and I'm going Arizona for sure. Okay. I'm going Duke, and I'm going to throw one in there that everybody's going to go, what are you, nuts? And I don't have any idea where they're going to be. They're not going to be in the same region as Duke. I'm going to try Illinois. I just have a feeling, man. I just have a feeling.
Well, I'm again looking at Lenardi's bracket, and this is for what it's worth. Depending on when you're watching this video, this may not be accurate at all, but
that's
in
true.
That Gonzaga regional, I'm going to go out on a limb, Bob. I'm going to take the 6th seed LSU. That's who I'm putting in my Final Four there.
Okay.
Over there.
You were a Big Ten guy in football, and you went to becoming an SEC guy in basketball. What can we say?
Over in the South Regional, I'm gonna go with you there. I'm gonna take Duke. Midwest Regional, I'm gonna take Kentucky. He's got them as the 2 seed, and then in the East Regional, where Kansas and Auburn are as your top 2 seeds, I'm going to go with Villanova. I'm going with if the bracket were to set up like this, and I mean we can't really make projections here based on this, but if those were my Final Four teams, so LSU would play Villanova, Duke would play Kentucky, I would say Duke and Villanova in the championship game.
Okay. All right. So let's go down to our final questions here today. We've already kind of covered it a little bit. And our final questions here, I've said it, and I've asked the question: is Illinois a threat to make the Final Four? Is Purdue a threat to make the Final Four? Can LSU make a run? And does Kentucky have enough shooting? We mentioned all 4 of these teams here in our discussion. So, really, seriously, does Illinois have a run at the Final Four in them, bud?
I don't think so.
Does Purdue?
No chance with Purdue.
But you think LSU can make a run?
I think this LSU team is extremely talented. I mean, they started off the year red hot. I mean, beat Kentucky, who I think is very good, which, that's another team you just mentioned.
Right.
Struggled for a while, got hot again, obviously lost at Arkansas. But, I mean, I think this LSU team can be built to make a good run. And, hey, let's not forget the Final Four is in New Orleans. And, bring the LSU Tigers home down there in New Orleans.
And yeah, obviously you think Kentucky's got enough. I mean, do you think they're a Final Four team, right?
I mean, I think they're a Final Four team, but I think you bring up a great point. I mean, do they have enough shooting? I mean, that's their Achilles heel every single year is they can't shoot. And
why can't Calipari recruit shooters?
It's a great question.
He just recruits athletes, man.
Why can't he buy these shooters? He can buy athletes. He can't buy a shooter here and there.
What are you trying to say? And finally, our final question. Does Coach K cut down the nets in his final year? Is he going to do it? Is he going to be the champion? Are they going to be singing "We Are the Champions" and Coach K is going to be in the middle of that?
I mean, I think there's a good chance. I mean, as bad as I hate Duke as a North Carolina fan, I mean, I think there's a chance. I mean, this Duke team has been so under the radar this year. And they're not being talked about. And I mean, is it the best Duke team that Coach K's ever had? No, I don't think so.
No.
But I mean, they seem to be playing well. And like I said, they're a team that no one is talking about currently. And that's a dangerous thing come March.
I got to go with the Zags. I know they should have done it last year. I think they're going to win it all. I really do. Yeah, I think it's either going to be them or Arizona. That's just my feeling here. I don't think Duke is good enough. I don't think Duke has played the competition that those teams have played. I think, I think Arizona is just a highly talented team. Really, from an athletic and shooting standpoint, I'm really not sure they're not the best team in the country, man.
I would agree. I mean, Arizona is solid. I have no complaints there. And I mean, you make a great point. Duke is not – the ACC's down this year. Going into Syracuse and winning by, 20, 25 points. I mean, that's an impressive win 5 years ago. I mean, Syracuse is obviously way down. We're talking Wake Forest is the second team when you're looking at the odds. I mean, that's saying a lot. It's not North Carolina. It's not Louisville. It's not Florida State. I mean, it could come back to bite Duke by just not having played the competition that they're going to need to see to make a run. I agree with you.
Hey, comment in the comments below, folks. You just make a comment. Is Coach K cutting down the nets this year? Let us know what you think. And don't forget to go to Odds Jam and go to our YouTube channel and subscribe. Get everybody to subscribe. That ends our show. Randall, great job. We will see you later somewhere down the road. Have a great day, folks.